Yeah, my name is Gary Mahan, and I represent the Mahan Collection and Foundation. Our typical mission is to save and preserve antique trucks for future generations to see and experience. And as an aside, we got involved with the New Jersey Battleship group to restore a 40mm Bofor gun that was once on the ship. So behind me you can see the actual gun that we've brought to our location for restoration. We've carefully dissected different gearboxes to release mechanisms so that the entire barrel unit or gun unit will swivel and also elevate up and down all four barrels, and that's been a real challenge over the last couple of weeks. The unit weighs about 12 tons in total the way it sits on a low-boy trailer here, and the next phase after we got all the gearboxes functioning will be to take it to our sandblast area, sandblast it down to bare metal, primer coat, several coats of primer coat, epoxy primer coat, and then one or two top coats of epoxy so that this thing will be reserved for the next many decades as a display piece back in southern New Jersey at the Battleship, New Jersey boat site. All right, when we first got the barrel, there was a missing drive shaft between this point and this point. As you can see, we took off the original crank handle, which was broken. We rigged up a jury-rigged, a temporary crank, and we went around through all the gearboxes, put penetrating oil in the gearboxes to get everything freed up. As you can see, it's fairly easy as long as Brian eats his Wheaties. So that's the swivel mechanism. And we greased up the turntable bearings have multiple grease fittings, so we pumped fresh grease in, got all the rollers moving once again. And we did the same thing on the opposite side, which raises and lowers the barrels in sync. But initially we had to dissect, because both sides of this unit are driven with DC motors through gearboxes, so we had to dissect some of the couplings to figure out which gearbox was really problematic and stopping it from going up or down or rotating. We did the same function on the other side, took the handle off, and that raises and lowers the barrels.
There we go.
Careful with it, that's moving. Yeah.
What we did on this side, we removed the up and down function handle, replaced it with a large electric reversing drill, and this gives us the torque necessary to raise the barrels up and down. So I'll demonstrate that at this point. That's what we did to get all the gears working. There was obviously old paint and buildup in some of the gears and gunk in the grease. So we've put penetrating oil in some of the gearboxes and been able to move the barrels up and down. They're moving a lot smoother today than they did even a week ago. Some of this stuff we wound up putting a 3 or 4 foot long wrench on some of the couplings to actually break it loose, because it hasn't moved since the 60s, as I understand. So that's what we've done. And then we've also disassembled the seat mechanisms because of rust and buildup. All the seats were frozen and locked in a whatever position they were left in back in the 60s. So we freed those seats up so they can go up and down, and hopefully we can get some kids on here in the future. And we think that a mini gearbox might be appropriate on this side so that smaller kids can more easily crank the barrels up and down, because we can't make my guy Brian available all the time.
I like it. Yeah. Ready? Oh.
Yeah, the tree's starting to lean now.
Oh man, my ear. the shell, it's still smoking.
Is it? What do you think, Phil?